I brought you some snacks.
We'll be full by the time I finish. I won't want lunch. No, I will want lunch. That's the unfortunate part.
Yes.
All clear.
Welcome everybody to March 5th, 2021 board meeting of the Board of Trustees of the University of South Alabama. Welcome to everyone that's here in person and all of you that are on Zoom. We appreciate everybody's attendance. Just a couple of things before we ask Monica to call the roll. We would like to once again commemorate the life and service of, or at least acknowledge the life and service of former trustee Langham, who served in distinction on this board and in our community. We want to thank him for his for everything he did and remember him and his family as he departed us not too long ago. Don became a good friend. I didn't know him that well until I got appointed to the board and got to know him after that. And he's just a fine gentleman and did a great service to this board. So we want to recognize that effort today. And we will get an opportunity to have his wife here in person and to properly acknowledge our gratitude. So at some point in time in the future when everybody's comfortable doing that. One other thing is we're going to have a couple of student guests this morning that will come in and speak with us. And we're not, well, I think they're here. So we're going to welcome you guys. Come on in, have a seat. We're going to ask them to join us and speak to us briefly. And we will get that started in just a minute as we, after Monica calls a roll, and we officially begin the meeting. So with that, Monica, if you would go ahead and everybody turn on your mics and let's go ahead and call roll, and then we'll get started with the meeting.
Ms. Atkins? Here. Ms. Brown Stewart?
Here.
Dr. Charlton?
Here.
Mr. Corcoran?
Here.
Dr. Furr?
Here.
Mr. Graham?
Here.
Captain Jenkins?
Here.
Ms. Mitchell?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Chairman Schumach?
Here.
Judge Simon? Judge Simon? Dr. Stokes?
Present.
Ms. Tuckson?
Here.
Judge Wyndham?
Here.
Mr. Yance?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Monica. So we're going to kind of stop right here, and we're going to allow the students to speak to us just in case they have somewhere else to be or classes to go to or something of that nature. We appreciate them taking their time to come in today. Where are we going? Who wants to go first? So, Kaya Williamson, right? Did I get that right? Kaya Wilkinson? Okay. If you'll go up to the, sorry, we're kind of to the podium there, please, ma'am. You got about 5 minutes.
Good morning, University Board of Trustees, administration, faculty, and staff. My name is Kaya Wilkinson. I'm the current president of NAACP here on campus. I would like to thank Dr. Mitchell for extending the invitation in order for me to be present today. After watching the news Tuesday afternoon and reading the apology statement from Dr. Waldrop, I was devastated. I thought to myself, how could this be allowed itself? This conduct is not acceptable for any campus, especially one that I was supposed to call home. Throughout this week, I have been sent multiple text messages, phone calls, sat in numerous meetings to discuss this nauseating incident of the Mitchell College of Business Dean, Bob G. Woods, and two professors by the name of Alex Charlin and Teresa G. Weldy, who attended a faculty Halloween party in 2014 dressed as a Confederate soldier, a judge who carried a whip in their hand, and another who had a noose wrapped around her neck. Faculty, students, parents, and aspirants who wish to attend the university are disgusted. Imagine sitting on the phone, listening to your student peers cry because they do not feel welcomed or safe on their own campus. Imagine parents having to see this on the news before a statement was released from the university itself. If I were an incoming freshman and saw this behavior, I would make sure to decline any offer the university would have given me. We want to see change. We are tired of the futile emails apologizing for the actions that were taken on this campus without having any progress made to resolve this issue of happening again. Section 316.4 in the faculty handbook states, tenured and not tenured faculty members may be terminated for cause. For cause includes, but is not limited to moral turpitude, conviction for a felony, substantial failure to perform assigned professional duties, incompetence or unethical behavior, including violations of academic or research integrity. This means tenure does not cover these individuals' careers here at the university. Although terminating the individuals can be done, this still does not fix the issue. The university must stop putting diversity, inclusion, and unity on the back burner. The time is now to start. We must work together to come up with a plan and ideas to unify campus, cause awareness to racial or discriminatory actions, and begin to end racism. Mr. President, we are tired. I wrote this last night before the emails were typed up this morning and sent out to the student body. I did enjoy reading the new emails to see progress being started. However, this is not the end, only the beginning. Me, NAACP president, along with other presidents of Black organizations here on campus, would like to meet with Dr. Waldrop in order to cause change and figure out a solution to end this on campus. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Cameron? This is Cameron Greer Shepherd. He's the president of the Black Student Union.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cameron Greer Shepherd, and I am the president of the Black Student Union here at South. And I didn't necessarily bother to write a new statement or a speech. I'm just here to share my heart. I stand to represent the Black Student Union. It's not something that I necessarily asked for, but it's an opportunity that presented itself unto me. And I am grateful that I have the opportunity to be a part of something like this. To be honest, I was very shaken up this week about the incident that had taken place. But it didn't stir me so bad to like, I wasn't shocked to the point where I just was just gonna fly off the handle, like, oh goodness, like this has happened, because it's happened before. And this is not the end of that. That was just an incident that was exposed. I'm proud to be a JAG. I love the university. I understand that our leaders, teachers, educators, administrators have faults. No one is perfect. I understand that. There's grace for that, and I'm all for it. But at the same time, we do have to hold each other accountable for our actions. This is a matter of right and wrong. When it all boils down to it, it's a heart thing. Now, what had happened, what had taken place, reflects back to the president. Not necessarily Dr. Waldrop, like you, but it shows that, okay, this happened, So this is the part of the body was affected by the head. So it goes back to the head. Now, what the head has to do with that, that's another thing. But you're in charge when that happened. That should have immediately been taken down. But now we have this whole thing that has just been, exploded all in a matter of a few days. And that should have been the case. No, we cannot change what has happened. We cannot change the past, but we have to learn how to move forward and to not make things so complicated. It's simple. It's real simple. When you see, put it this way, you have children, all race, gender, all on the playground. You have a parent out on the playground. You have a child that falls and hurt himself. Another child may fall and hurt themselves. One could be black, one could be Asian, one could be white. Okay. Let's say in one case, okay, the black child falls, hurt himself, skins up real bad. He's crying because he's hurt. She's hurt. Would the parents say, or would the teachers say, oh, they'll be all right. You know, children fall, they hurt themselves all the time. No, not saying that all children don't hurt. Okay, that's just the child that fell and got hurt. So you need to attend to that, seek to that child and understand why the child is hurt. That child is hurt. We're not saying that the other incidents don't matter. And no, we're not making this all about us. It's not just the black thing. It's not just the white thing. It's not just the Asian thing. It's diversity for everyone. We have to seek out and make sure that everyone is taken care of and treated equally. We just really, we want to be seen. And that's why we're here. We come in peace. There's no need to, like I said, fly off the handle, be wild about it. There's a lot of change that needs to take place. And I do appreciate the emails that have went out. I'm glad that you all are making an effort to create change on our campus. But yes, as Kay has stated before, like, we have to have these spaces, these conversations, and be in these spaces and work together on how can, and work together to progress and to seek out change and to make change for the future. So that's all I have on my heart to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks both of you for coming out today and speaking to us and letting us understand where you stand and where we are from the students. And we certainly appreciate and we take this seriously. We wanted you to come. We worked hard last night to get you to come. So we appreciate both of you being here and sharing what you shared with us. We had some deliberations yesterday too, and we tried, Dr. Waldrop informed us of some action. And like you said, it's the beginning, not the end. And we've got to get to that point, and we've got to do a lot better in the future. So thank you for coming. Thank you for participating. For those of you on the board who did not make the correlation, Cameron is on the presidential search committee for the next president. So I appreciate it. I stunned him a little bit the other day when we talked, and he accepted the opportunity to do that. So we appreciate having him on that committee and having him engaged in where we go in the future as well. So thank you, Cameron, for agreeing to do that as well while I got you here. So if you've got classes, you've got other things to do, you're welcome to go back to that. If you want to stay for the balance of the meeting, you're welcome to do that too. So you make it easy on yourself. So you don't have to tell us. You can just go or you can just stay. Okay. Thank you for being here. All right. We'll get back to the agenda. My apologies. I don't know why I need a mask right now. The first thing we need to approve is the revised agenda that sits before you. Do I hear a motion? Is there a second? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. They were in the packet. I assume everybody's had an opportunity to read those. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the president's report. Dr. Waldrop. Before you start, again, I just want one more time recognize the fact that this is not your last report. You're going to have one more at least. So you got one more report. But we want to say we appreciate your service and we appreciate your tireless efforts in helping us get through the situations we have before us and the significant amount of accomplishments you've had over your tenure. So, but carry on, and we're gonna have another opportunity to do some more talking about you as we get through down this path. So, Mr. President, it won't be a road. Well, it could be. We might add that to one of the events. So, no, go ahead.
Employee of the quarter each quarter. We haven't had one for the last 3 quarters due to the situation, but we decided to go ahead today. The person who is going to be recognized, and they're not aware, I don't think, that they're being recognized, is Rochelle Dara. She will be, in just a moment, she will be with Raja Chaudhary, and he will read the nomination letter. But before we do that, let me remind you what they get as a result of being the employee of the quarter. First of all, there's a $500 award. And what I'm told is a very valuable thing here on campus. An employee of the quarter designated parking space for the quarter. Of course, there's the recognition here at the Board of Trustees, and the recipient's nomination form will be placed in the recipient's personnel file. Raj, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Waldrop. Rochelle, would you come up here, please? So Rochelle is in the Innovation and Learning Center. And so we are in our ILC studio, broadcasting live from the ILC studio. And with your permission, I'm going to read a short part of the nomination. When COVID-19 caused a campus shutdown in mid-March 2020, all instruction was shifted online. Faculty who had never paid much attention to online instructional tools suddenly became fully dependent on them. Rochelle's contribution during these past several months stands out as worthy of the Employee of the Quarter nomination. Her job title of Distance Learning Specialist calls for her to help faculty with questions related to the operation of their courses in the learning management system. However, in spring 2020, we were in the unique position of running 2 different learning management systems as we were transitioning from Sakai to Canvas. Rochelle worked on nights and weekends for several straight weeks to, first, ensure that faculty were able to utilize the online platform to teach by troubleshooting aspects of their online sites, introduce faculty to proctored online testing to ensure academic integrity in our course exams, hasten the migration of faculty from Sakai to Canvas by vastly expanding the capacity and the grading of the Canvas Fundamentals training course. And yesterday I presented to you that we've trained over 1,000 faculty members in the last 9 months on Canvas. She went above and beyond the call of duty to answer repeated faculty emails and hold many one-on-one Zoom sessions to make sure faculty questions were answered and confusion dispelled. Finally, it's important to note that Rochelle completed all of the above with a smile on her face. And so Rochelle, it gives me great pleasure, with the permission of the of the president to present to you this plaque for the Employee of the Quarter. And I don't know if you heard, but you will actually be getting a designated parking spot right outside the ILC building, which will be designated as the Employee of the Quarter parking spot. So thank you, President Waldrop, and thank you, Board of Trustees. Here, hold it and pose for a second.
Rochelle, did you know in advance?
No, sir, I did not. This is a shock and I appreciate it. And thanks to the ILC, the whole group here did a lot and helped.
Well, thank you for all you've done and will do in the future. We appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Next, I'm calling Lynn Chronister for some good news about our animal care program.
Thank you, Dr. Waldrop. I'm a last minute addition because yesterday we got some incredibly good news. So the University of South Alabama does do animal research, and the animals are housed in a central vivarium that is in the College of Medicine. And it's staffed by Dr. Michelle Schuler and an incredible group of staff. And we have to go through numerous reviews, and one of them is an accreditation by the American Association of the Accreditation of Lab Animal Care. It's a mouthful. And this accreditation can be absolutely brutal to go through. And very seldom, in my experience, and I think Dr. Waldrop's as well, does a university vivarium animal program get the dedication of exemplary. And yesterday we got the news that we have a ALAC accreditation of exemplary. And so we offer our thanks to Dr. Schuler and her team. Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
Actually, I should add that last night, Chairman Schumach mentioned to somebody, because he visited the vivarium a couple of weeks ago, and I heard him mention to somebody that except for the animal pen, you could eat off the floors. It's so clean.
It is. If you ever want to go take it, it's amazing how well run and how spotlessly clean that thing is, except the pig pen, I think. So.
Owen Bailey is going to introduce a speaker who's going to tell us about USA Health Black History Month and healthy communities.
Thank you. One quick note about vaccinations. Yesterday, we gave you the brochure that we give to everyone that comes for vaccination. I've also given you today the brochure that we used in the Cody Road area of Mobile to announce and encourage people to come to the Friendship Missionary Baptist Church yesterday for the vaccination effort. I just wanted you to see the flyer we used and joint advertising with the church and with USA Health. You know, Dr. Marymount and I meet every month with each one of our clinical chairs. That's the official meeting, but we actually interact and talk, you know, a lot more frequently than once a month. I'm really honored to be able to introduce Dr. Errol Crook to you all today to give this update. Dr. Crook is a nephrologist. He joined USA in 2005. He is from Monroeville, went to Yale for his undergraduate, went to Columbia College in New York for his medical school, and did his residency and fellowship up at UAB. We're really blessed and fortunate to have Dr. Crook as one of our very key leaders, and I'm really just happy that I can call him a friend. He has a huge role. He is the professor and Abraham Mitchell Chair of Internal Medicine, and he's also director of the Center for Healthy Communities, which he will speak about. His role is huge. Medicine is, the internal medicine role is big enough, but he's also over a number of key areas: pulmonary, GI, nephrology, cardiology, sickle cell, and more. Dr. Crook is a very busy person. You know, our health system is going through exponential change and growth, and our last few years especially have been exciting ones, and yet those can have a real impact on your organization and its leaders like Dr. Crook, I think, who are so in touch with our culture and what our culture is like, and are we growing with our, not just in our number of services and locations, but what's happening with our culture. Dr. Crook and I talk a lot about this, especially as it relates to diversity and inclusion. Our health system for the last 2 years has done an engagement survey to find out how engaged our employees are with what's going on, what's it like to work in our health system. And one key area that we're learning about more and more is the area of diversity and inclusion. And Dr. Crook's going to speak to not just MLK Day and Black History Month, but a little bit broader as far as what we're doing about not just those very important components, but what is it like year round? What is the culture like day to day, or really hour to hour? We've had focus groups with a number of our minority employees to get their input. We did do some pretty significant stuff, I think, for us this year related to celebrating Black History Month and MLK Day, bringing in a nationally known speaker, and Dr. Crook will talk about Brandon Fleming and the Harvard Diversity Project, which he created. We're looking at a cultural survey for us for the whole health system. When you'll meet Andrea Rossler, who is our new Chief of Human Resources, that joined us just a couple of months ago. She's working closely with Dr. Crook and other leaders on ideas such as an emerging leaders program. How do we identify employees that we have who can move up into significant leadership positions, as well as I mentioned the Center for Healthy Communities, which is a key outreach effort for this organization. So I'm honored again to be able to introduce Dr. Crook. If you all don't know Dr. Crook, I think he's spoken to the board not that long ago. But Errol, I appreciate you doing this today, and we certainly look forward to your comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Owen. I really appreciate it. Thank you to the board and president and administrative staff for the opportunity to speak on a topic of great importance to, I think, a lot of us. At the Center for Healthy Communities, we have a platform for operations that we call community engagement. And we have had the opportunity now for a decade and a half to have a strong relationship with several partners throughout our community that have really given us the direction with regards to where we need to go with the activities that we do regarding research, interventions, partnerships, etc. When we talk about community engagement, it really has to be relationships that develop over a long period of time. They need to know that you care before they care what you have to say. And we have been fortunate to be able to establish those relationships. We give them voice and they give us voice. And when the pandemic started, we had the curtains drawn back and a very bright light shone on the inequities in health and those factors that impact health, what we call social determinants of health, seeing the inequities in all of those factors in this country. And it was quite startling, but it wasn't new. These things have been in place for centuries, in fact. So we at the Center for Healthy Communities, as a way to give our partners voice, started this project that you see the title of here on this slide, where we were able to interact with. Fortunately, we could not do it face to face back in April and May of 2020, but we're able to do it virtually, and went through key questions and understood from them what our communities of interest, and these are communities that go by the term structurally marginalized communities, what they were facing, what they were enduring, and what were potential pathways out of it. Fortunately, we were able to pull all of this together, and we just a few weeks ago have released this contents of this study. On the slide, you see a link to it. In fact, we just had a story run on NPR yesterday, where we were Dr. Martha Arietta, the lead investigator on this project, and I were interviewed. Now, this has clearly led to us being able to at least have some discussions about the vaccines and barriers to vaccination. But this was really done at the time when it was the early days, and we had issues around testing, around trust, having mixed messages sent out to these individuals. Because of what we felt the impact of it, and the fact that we were being a conduit for community members to out to the leaders of our community and policymakers. Before we released this, we actually had a session with policymakers from the region, city, county, and state representatives and senators, and had a wonderful conversation as we talked through these issues. Next slide, please. And so when you have the intersection of multiple significant events like epidemics, in this case a pandemic, there's this term called syndemic. And that's what in fact we're in, because we basically had the collision of COVID-19 superimposed on this epidemic of inequities in health and other social factors. And we at the center felt that we could be a place where individuals from those marginalized communities could express their voice in many ways, not just through the study we talked about. So we pulled together a section on our blog. We call it the Center for Health Communities Advocate, around the syndemic. And we're able to use that as a place for personal reflections, and it is ongoing to this day. So for example, back in June, when there's the initiative for White Coats for Black Lives led by our medical students, we provided this opportunity for a few of our fourth-year medical students to really express themselves, take their time, get their words together, and express themselves through essays. We've been able to allow center community health advocates to do that, as well as members of our staff, and we'll be having other faculty members, community members, and other students being able to express themselves through our blog as we go forward. Next slide. And so we're now at this point where we're hoping we're getting our hands around, arms around COVID, and we have the vaccine. And so we are having a lot of conversation, and a lot of people come to us to talk to us about addressing the issues of lack of agreement to have the vaccines, barriers to delivering the vaccines out into those structurally marginalized communities. So we see ourselves as, again, providing a forum for the community to come and have those conversations. My colleagues and I have participated in several events and interviews and radio, television, print, to be able to disseminate what we do know about the vaccine, and that it is effective and saves lives, and in order to allow people from those communities where the mistrust is so high to have an opportunity to at least hear something from those who they hopefully trust. And back on our blog site, on our syndemic blog, you'll see a piece that I recently put out about the irony of, well, I'll back up, that, you know, we're in Alabama, and when we know about the Tuskegee study for syphilis from 1932 to 1972, and all the mistrust that has garnered now for many, many decades. And one of the great ironies around Tuskegee is that the ethical mishap there was that when a effective treatment for syphilis was identified, it wasn't made available to the participants in the trial. And so my piece goes on to talk about the fact that if we use Tuskegee and the mistrust around Tuskegee as a reason not to get an effective treatment, then in a sense, those individuals are putting themselves in the same position as those males in the Tuskegee experiment. So next slide. If I can have the next slide, please. Thank you. So I'll segue now into some of the bigger other issues that Mr. Bailey was chatting about within USA Health. You know, when I was talking about those medical students and those white coats for Black lives, and when you chat about them, they talk about the fact to those African-American medical students, they talk about the fact that, you know, when they're in our hospitals and our clinics, many times the folks that look like them are the ones who are the lowest paid people in our system. And the university that we have provides those opportunities for employees to pull themselves up by taking advantage of those academic availabilities and credits and tuition discounts, in fact, free tuition in many cases. But what we're dealing with in many of those cases are people who have not yet developed the academic foundation in order to go and do college work. And so they find themselves in positions that are critical to what we do. I mean, the first person you miss if they don't come to do their job is the person who cleans and removes the garbage. In a healthcare environment, these are incredibly important people with roles that are actually quite skilled because they have to do their job in a specific way in order for us to meet the demands that are put upon us to provide safe and effective care. However, the ability to move up into those other roles is thwarted. So we're very happy that Ms. Andrea Rossler has joined us as the VP for Human Resources for USA Health. And she came to us from Huntsville Hospital. We've had several conversations with her and Mr. Bailey around this topic. And she's really come with a great amount of knowledge and ideas about how to solve that problem. And so one is the emerging leaders that Mr. Bailey alluded to, and that's to find those talented individuals within our organization, particularly focusing on those that come from diverse backgrounds, giving them mentorship, enhancing their skills, and giving them opportunity to develop those skills so that one day they will become managers when we diversify our management team. And to get to those individuals who are in those supportive roles or aren't able to take advantage of the educational opportunities for higher education, she has started to have conversations with community partners, as well as giving some consideration to us sort of developing some training programs within USA Health itself for things like developing a person into a pharmacy technician or OR technician, or even a patient care assistant. These are things that require a certification once you develop those skill sets. So you now have mobility in the job market. Should you leave Mobile for whatever reason, you have that. You have the opportunity to, then improve your economic lot, if you will, and hopefully provide better for your family and for yourself, and hopefully take advantage of some of the higher educational opportunities that the university has to offer down the road. In addition, she is partnering with our school systems in both Mobile and Baldwin County, and Mobile County Public Schools has the signature academies There are a few that actually have healthcare as their sort of signature area, and students come out on their way toward at least already some certified in many cases as a patient care assistant. And so partnering with them to get them to move in as health care employees in USA Health. And in our discussions, and she's new to the area, so we highlighted some resources that are here, like Bishop State Community College, Mobile Works, as potential partners, particularly for some of those areas where we have great need, like respiratory therapy technicians, for example. So we are very excited about the future for that with Ms. Rossler and those programs, and watching our employee development move in a direction where I think everyone would be a very proud employee of USA Health and University of South Alabama, and will see an opportunity for themselves to improve their lots in life. And then lastly, if you go to the next slide, we look back to the summer after the unfortunate murder of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, and the demonstrations of incredibly diverse groups of people all over this nation. And it's a very emotional time, particularly for some of us. And I am grateful that when I reached out to Dr. Merriman and Mr. Bailey to talk about this and mentioned that we needed to have an observation of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday this year, that they heeded that message, understood the importance of it to this community and our employee base and the university. And I really am proud of the fact that Mr. Bailey took it a step further and researched and said, let's just not, take a day off, but let's do something meaningful. And when Ms. Rossler came in, she was tasked with that. And she put together a program that was held in early February during African American History Month. So dual purpose of observing Dr. King's birthday and life, as well as African American History Month. And she was able to land this really wonderful animated speaker, as you can see his posture on the slide here. Brandon Fleming, who is the assistant debate coach at Harvard and the CEO of a project called the Harvard Diversity Project, an author of an upcoming book that I believe we did a lot of help to sell that book, be entitled Miseducated, a Memoir. And his messages were around understanding the importance of diversity and inclusion, but also understanding what that meant. And that is about achieving equity by meeting people where they are, that you provide for individuals who haven't had the opportunity, the foundation, the coaching, the mentoring, the assistance to get them from where they are to where they ultimately want to be. And that went over incredibly well. I think there were lots of people who weren't able to see it live, who went online and watched that program. And I still get comments from many of my friends from around the country who've gone to look at that, about that event. And we look forward to this being an annual occurrence. So with that, I'll end my comments and take any questions or comments from the group. Thank you for your attention and for everything you do for the university.
Thank you.
Dr. Cook, I have a question. This is Margie Tuxon.
Yeah.
The audience in your presentation that you're trying to reach, is that a live event or is that a website event? How do you see yourself creating a way to get your message out to the community?
So with COVID, we do it in several different ways. So for the MLK and African American History Month event, it was Mr. Fleming actually came here to Mobile in our Strata Patient Care Center. We were able to put about 30 people in the room, physically spaced. Everybody had a table to themselves that was 6 foot in diameter. And we had 3 other rooms like that around the campus for people to watch there. You can also watch online. We're hoping that a year from now, we'll be able to do this in a much larger venue and we can all be safe. But, you know, we've learned that we can do things virtually and we can do both at the same time. With regards to our messages to community members regarding COVID, equity issues, vaccination, barriers to vaccination, we really had to take a variety of approaches to that. And those include actually a colleague of mine, Dr. Felicia Wilson, who's a pediatric hematologist and oncologist, and I sitting and talking, quite frankly, for about an hour, and that being separated into 4 shorter videos that go out and address specific questions that have come up with frequency regarding reasons not to get the vaccination. We use the blog, as I mentioned, and we're able to use in cases with just very small amounts of people, some face-to-face. So really now it's been a variety of methodologies to get our word out, but hopefully a year from now that observance of MLK Day and African American History Month will be something where we can have a larger gathering of people in a room.
Okay, I actually watched the presentation that you all did. But what I would like to offer to you, because the company that we have, which is called Tucson Health Connections, we have been in this messaging of COVID to this community that you're trying to reach since summer of last year. We have been doing this almost two events a week as it relates to getting the messaging out. So what I would like to offer to you, if you figure out a way, we'll figure out a way for us to reach each other. I would like to add you to our network.
Wonderful.
And but our question, most of ours is actually on a Facebook, internet, YouTube methodology. So that's why I was asking about how are you getting your message out to people you're trying to reach? The people we are being able to reach have access to the internet. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. You and I can talk. I can begin to put you into the connections, and we're reaching really thousands of people in this approach of what we're doing. So I'm more than happy to extend that to you.
I really appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Cook.
Well, thank you all for everything.
Next, I would like to call on Nick Lockus for Government Relations update.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
I'll be real brief, but just wanted to bring you an update from Montgomery and what's going on up there. It's quite a lot. You know, the pandemic cut sessions short last year, and it got real fragmented, and there was a lot of unfinished business. And what that has done this year has created a very, very unique situation, unlike something I've never seen before, but I'd imagine most of the legislative folks would say the same. Whereas we are just yesterday finished the 12th legislative day. There are only 30 days in a legislative session that the legislature can meet. So they're 40% through in just 1 month, okay? To give you an idea of how a legislative session would normally work, in an average session, they have about 1,000 bills that are introduced, okay? All right, we're on day 12 and there's already 815. So it's been quite a lot to track and keep up with. We're almost halfway through. The budgets are looking good despite the pandemic. Even though the education budget has the potential to be one of the largest budgets the state has ever seen, it's $7.65 billion. They are still taking a very cautious approach in case there are any other curveballs around the corner that we don't know yet. So I I would expect that universities should see some increase. I'm just not comfortable quite yet saying what that might be. The governor has recommended some healthy increases at about 6%, but the budgets have not even moved yet. And once those start moving through committees, we'll have a better idea of that. Other than that, and how busy it's been, of the 815 bills, I'm tracking about 260 of them, and 20 of them I'm very actively engaged in that we have some sort of interest in, whether that be healthcare or general university operations. So with that, maybe I kept my report to a minute. Any questions for me on Montgomery legislative session? All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Nick.
Hopefully by the next meeting, I will have good news to report for you.
Joel, would you please report on the Senior Bowl and the All-Star Game?
Thank you. Good morning. Just a brief overview. When we built Hancock Whitney Stadium, it was to not just host Jaguar football, it was to bring other events to community and campus. And in December and January, we were very fortunate. The picture you see here is of the Alabama High School All-Star Game. And so several dozen student athletes, high school student athletes from Florence to Fort Payne to Birmingham to Dothan came to Mobile, had 3 days of practice and competition in our stadium. And their parents, their coaches, their friends, their family joined them. Go to the next slide, please. That's also the All-Star Game. And All-Star Game. And then in January, the Senior Bowl came to campus and under unique conditions due to COVID. And the primary exposure, in my opinion, revolves around the practice days, where the practice days, each team has practices on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those practices are covered live by a series of networks nationally, whether it be ESPN or the NFL Network, and not only covered live during the day, but then they are recapped at night on talk shows. And so from Los Angeles to Minneapolis to New York to Miami, the premier topic was the Senior Bowl and where it starts for the NFL draft. And you will see that is Riley Cole, number 44, who is a Jag and who is obviously being held on that play. Represented the university very well and positioned himself well for the draft also. So feedback from the NFL, feedback from people around the nation that came to Mobile and our campus in Hancock Whitney Stadium was very positive. And we look forward to a long-term relationship with both those entities. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. We'll now have a report from the Faculty Senate President.
Hello, thank you. I'll be brief. If I'm doing my math right, I believe this is the last board meeting that I will be the president of the Senate. So I did want to take a moment to acknowledge and thank Dr. Waldrop. Under his leadership and working with him, the Senate has had a very good working relationship with him and his team. I think I've seen many positive changes in the university over his tenure. I think we've all seen recent events that show we have much further to go, but I think we've made good progress with Dr. Waldrop. I'd just like to mention, as I have in the past, that the Senate has been very busy working with COVID-related issues to ensure that we have a safe working environment for our faculty, staff, and students, and we're still able to deliver a very exceptional academic product. I want to thank all of our faculty that have worked tirelessly over the last year, approximately a year, with changing the way they've been delivering, to be accommodating to students, to accommodate both multiple modes of instruction in the classroom. Many faculty have done more work teaching in the last year than they would in any typical year. And I think that needs to be noted. In addition to what we've been doing working with COVID-related issues, one of the things I'm very proud of as president is the Senate started a diversity inclusion committee. That committee has been working very hard on multiple issues. Maybe the biggest thing they've started to tackle is developing guidelines and plans to help in diversity in hiring of faculty, increasing the diversity of our faculty. And also that goes right along with that, retention of faculty. Oftentimes retaining the best faculty can be difficult. And so they're working on initiatives that can help with the retention aspect as well. And one of the things that they're beginning to work on now, they're working with many groups outside of the Senate, is potential certificate programs, both at the undergraduate and graduate level, related to diversity inclusion that can really be beneficial to not only our students, but many within the community. I think this is incredible work that they're doing, and we'll be continuing to work with students, faculty as a whole, administration, on advancing and changing the culture of the university. That's really the conclusion of my report, and unless there are any questions from anyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would now like to call on the Student Government Association President.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Obviously, we know we've been doing a lot this past week, but this is my last time as Student Government Association President at a board meeting. So that's kind of sad, but I'm just going to speak on some of the things that we've done so far and some of the things we're still working on, and just kind of go from there. So right now, our big projects are we're doing the water bottle refill stations in the freshman residence halls because they don't have those right now. Printing program in the residence halls, as well as an athletics appreciation project because they haven't been able to have as many students at games. And so we want to make sure that they know that they are appreciated. We're also partnering with admissions to email prospective students and starting a Troy partnership where we actually have some service behind that Battle of the Belt game to make sure that our students are very much aware and can also participate if they're not on the football team. As well as the biggest thing is the Give Back to Campus project. We haven't done that in a while. And so we're hoping to either bring an outdoor classroom or a hammock situation right now to campus. And so administration's looking at that whenever they have the time, because I know they've been really busy right now. We've been doing really great things in an unprecedented year. We have COVID. Obviously, we have the things that are happening with racial situations on campus, but we're continuing to work and we're going to continue to work until I'm out and the new president's in for sure. It's been a pleasure to serve as SGA president this year. And I can proudly say that my cabinet, my committees, my Senate, and me have been working, and we're going to continue to work. So thank you so much for just allowing us to be a part of this. And lastly, the biggest thing, SGA has not released a statement on the recent resurfacing of the photos. And I can say that is because we are working and asking and meeting with students to make sure that every single voice is heard in this issue before we do release a statement or a resolution. I do know that when we do respond, it's going to be to better serve all of our students, not just the ones that are in those classes, but the ones that feel like their voice haven't been heard right now. I do ask the board and Dr. Waldrop and the rest of the administration to take our concerns seriously because we are going to react in a proactive manner and not a reactive or a performative manner. We've been doing diversity and inclusion efforts all year, and we're not going to stop. And some of the things that are coming are very exciting. So I just thank you guys all for just working with us and continuing to work with us to better our campus and our university. Thank you.
Hey, I just wanted to say that the SGA is also reaching out to trustees to address them. And I was fortunate enough Monday night to be asked to address and sit in on the SGA meeting, the meeting they have every, I guess they meet weekly, but it was set up in advance. And Tia, thank you so much for doing that. I really enjoyed getting to speak to the SGA and kind of give them a little bit of my history and maybe some advice, and I appreciate that. And I think the SGA is also reached out to other trustees and may do that monthly or so and have you address them. So it was good. Thank you.
Tia, I have a quick question. I remember when you first came on, I think last summer, you were talking about a diversity and inclusion training modules I think you had worked on for the students. Could you give us an update on that?
Yeah, so we created a training with 5 modules. Faculty and staff had the almost exact same training. They have 4 modules, but we have a 5-module training that I actually sent to, I think, Ken Smith asked for it today. Ken Simon asked for it today. And if any of you want to see it, we have a unlive version. That's the full student version that if you want to see, it's not required right now, but Dr. Frazier has made an effort, and I have met with every single diversity and inclusion officer in every single college for every single student to be able to take this training. And we started an incentive program with t-shirts to make sure that if the student wants to get a certificate and a t-shirt, they have Be Kind on them. We started that as well. Right now, I'm pretty sure we're at around a couple thousand in the training, but we've got a long way to go and it just started in August. So that's the update for now. If you do want to see it though, feel free to send me an email and I can shoot you that link. So thank you.
Thank you, Tia. We're going to have a little diversion in the agenda here, and I'm going to call on the audit committee for their report.
Thank you, Alexis. The audit committee convened yesterday at the committee meeting. And yesterday I called on Laura Surratt, which is our executive director of internal audit. She introduced 2 new staff hires in that area. It was Deandra Hudson and Jeffrey Bunting. Both of these are new to her staff and joined respectively in October of last year and December of last year. So if you do get a chance, welcome them to her staff. Then I called on Scott Weldon that reported that the firm of KPMG had been reappointed as auditors for the university for the next 2 fiscal years, 2021 through 2023. He also presented KPMG's 2020 report on the university's intercollegiate athletic program, which is required. This is an annual report that's required under NCAA bylaws. While there's no audit opinion for this type of report, there's no exceptions and no findings reported by KPMG. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. My apologies. We will go to the next. I'm going to back up. We got item number 6, certificates of appreciation. I see Dr. Cleary. I see your name still on the Zoom. Are you still with us? And I see Tia. I see your name on the list. Are you still with us? Okay. I see Dr. Cleary. Well, so we'll start with Dr. Cleary. As you'll see on the video, and I have the actual certificates in front of me. We want to thank you for your service on the Faculty Senate for the past year. Tough year, tough times, but sometimes we don't get to pick when it's our turn to work through a difficult situation. So thank you for everything you did for the Faculty Senate and for the university over the past year. And I look forward to working with you, continue working with you. We all do in the future. So thank you, Dr. Cleary, for everything you've done. Next one on the list, I think, is Tia. Hey, she's the most happy person I've ever met in my entire life. I've had the opportunity to work with her a lot over the last, particularly month, I think. But anyway, thank you so much for representing SGA and for being a leader on campus and for being with the board, working with the board and doing everything that you've done for the students. You're a pleasure to work with, and we've enjoyed it. I also have a plaque for you that you can see on the screen. So in recognition of what you've done, Tia's about to graduate and go to graduate school, and she's quite excited about that. So thank you for everything you've done. Thank you. Education, I think. Tia, you're an education major, right?
I am. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everything you've done. All right. And the final one on the list of recognition is Cameron. Is Cameron? Cameron's outside. There's a group of students outside. Cameron is the president, as we know, of the Black Student Union. He spoke to us earlier today. He had to step out, but we will recognize him and get the plaque to him as well. And we really appreciate his service for the Black Student Union as well, and his interaction with the board as we go forward. So thank you all for indulging in that. The three fabulous people that have served their terms and have done a great job on campus. So the next item on the agenda is the number 8 is the Development Endowment Committee. Mr. Yance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yesterday, we reviewed our endowment performance for the first quarter of our 2021 fiscal year. Excuse me, our performance came in at 9.72% versus our index of 9.15%, thus outperforming by 57 basis points. We had good news on our long-term performance because it continues to do well. Our annualized inception to date performance came in at 5.85% versus our index of 4.77, outperforming by 1.08%. And this performance created investment earnings of $116.5 million since the endowment's inception, therefore breaking the $100 million mark for the first time. So I want to give Terry and Scott and that group a great deal of credit for that. They just really stay on top of things, and we appreciate their efforts. We ended our report by introducing one of our endowment managers, Gerber Taylor. They were represented by Matt Kenner, and he provided information on their performance. They provide hedge fund, private equity, and international expertise to our endowment. And that concluded that portion of our report. And next on the development and alumni relations side, Margaret pointed out that the first 5 months of fiscal year 2021, $8,251,378 had been raised from 2,000 donors. And significantly, 331 of these donors are new donors to USA. And as all you know, that new donor element is always critical to broaden our base. Thanks to a transformational gift from a passionate and dedicated friend of the university, we're moving forward with the construction of a new emergency center at USA Children's and Women's Hospital with a groundbreaking schedule for this summer. And if any of y'all have been there, that would really be the last problem we have there. It's a great, outstanding facility, but that emergency center was really lagging behind. And so this is great news, and thank you to that passionate and dedicated friend. USA Pandemic Emergency Funds established in March 2020 have raised $285,525 to help with student needs and USA Health emergency needs. The Leadership in Social Justice and Perseverance Scholarship has raised $181,180, including Mitchell Moulton match dollars. Support has come from 100 Black men of Greater Mobile, USA Board of Trustee members, excuse me, USA Leadership, Hancock Whitney Bank, AT&T, Regions Bank, and Alabama Power today. I may have to pass this off to Jimmy. The South Fund Employee Annual Giving Campaign is underway, and USA Giving Day is scheduled for April 22nd. As y'all know, we always blow the lid off with our employee annual giving and greatly surpass most employee campaigns in other universities. Upcoming USA Health events include the Hope Cup Golf Tournament benefiting the Mitchell Cancer Institute, and that's scheduled for May 27th. And Local Goodness, which will focus on naming opportunities for the new Pediatric Emergency Center. And that concluded our report.
Thank you, Mr. Yance.
And I don't have COVID, by the way. I just have a cough, and I've already had a vaccination too, so don't panic. But
Item number 9, Health Affairs Committee, Dr. Burr.
For USA Health, Nabby Fox, Assistant Administrator and Chief Nursing Officer for USA Health Physicians Group, presented over USA's vaccine pandemic. We saw a video that was very impressive. Glenn Bailey shared the following photographs: the Fannie Meiser Trauma Center ribbon cutting ceremony, the USA Health Midtown ribbon cutting ceremony, and we mentioned the Pediatric Emergency Room Center rendering. Dr. Marimont announced Dr. Benjamin Estrada has been appointed to the Sunbelt Conference Athletic Committee on COVID-19. And then we do have a recommendation from the committee to approve the USA Health Hospitals medical staff appointments and reappointments for November, December 2020, and January 2021.
Is there a motion? Is there a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Here's our report. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Burr. Next item is item number 11 is Academic and Student Affairs Committee. Judge Wyndham, excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Academic and Student Affairs Committee met yesterday. With regard to academic affairs, Dr. Kent introduced Julie Swint, Associate Vice President for Finance and Administration, and Raj Chaudhary, Executive Director of the Innovation and Learning Center, who discussed student and faculty support during COVID-19. USA received over $30 million in federal stimulus funding and over $5.5 million from state CARES awards through February 2021. And this does not include the money that was received by USA Health. With regard to student affairs, Dr. Mitchell introduced Joshua Missouri, the Associate Director of Veteran Affairs, who provided an overview and update on the PAVE program, and that stands for Peer Advisors for Veteran Education. This is a program for our veterans. The program is one of approximately 46 programs like it across the country, working to pair current, I guess, veteran students, or maybe upperclassmen, with those students who are just beginning their transition into college after military service. Mr. Missouri also introduced 2 or 3 of our peer mentors who are currently working in the PAVE program. Sound like a real good program. With regard to research and economic development, Ms. Lynn Chronister, Dr. Harold Perdue, Engineering Dean John Usher, and General Steve Duff presented an overview of a new program being developed within the College of Engineering to ensure that our region has a skilled and qualified workforce. The program, called Talent Development, was created in response to a need expressed by local industries for pipeline degree programs that build upon associate degrees, certificates, and credentials, and bachelor degrees through graduate programs. The program will support a proposed new bachelor's degree program in industrial technology. So it's really, they think it's going to be a real game changer. The committee does have one item to approve, and I'll let Dr. Marimont, I think you're going to introduce, as a recommend, we have to approve tenure, and I think, were you going to introduce the tenured professors today? I'm sorry?
At the meet and greet after the meeting concludes.
Okay, I didn't know if they were on the Zoom. No? All right. Well, Dr. Marimont, the one thing we have to approve, Dr. Marimont presented a recommendation for tenure to be awarded to 3 new hires: Dr. Martin Heslin, Director of the Mitchell Cancer Institute; Dr. Jimmy Slaughterbeck, Chair of Orthopedic Surgery; and Dr. Chris Davies, Associate Dean for Research. The candidates were thoroughly vetted through faculty committees and administrators at all levels. The committee voted and is recommending approval. This item will require a vote. If you want to take that up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I want to thank everyone involved this past quarter, and thanks to the committee for their hard work. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Judge Wyndham. Next item on the agenda is the Budget and Finance Committee report.
Scott Weldon presented the university's quarterly financial statements ending December 31st, 2020.
University reported an increase in net position of 46.4 million compared to 37.2 million for the same time period a year ago. The primary drivers of this improvement include the improvement in financial markets and expense reduction due to pandemic. Terry Albano then reported on the results of the sale of the university's 2021 bonds. Net proceeds from the sale were $50 million and were used for various USA Health projects. The university was able to achieve a pretty good result on the bonds at an interest rate of 2.58%. A bond purchase agreement was signed for the sale of the bonds and included for your approval in a resolution ratifying that agreement. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2021 bond agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That includes budget and finance.
Thank you, Mr. Corcoran. Next item on the agenda is the Long Range Planning Committee. Ms. Brown Stewart.
Yes, thank you. At yesterday's committee meeting of the Long Range Planning Committee, Dr. Coleman gave us an update on the university's strategic planning process. She reviewed the timeline of the process and drew attention to the board's approval last September to extend the current strategic plan through December 2021. The current strategic planning process will be completed this December. In light of Dr. Waldrop's retirement, the strategic planning process will be modified to focus only on updating the objectives for the current 5 priorities. Updating the objectives will set clear expectations for future work over the next 2 to 3 years, or until a new president has the opportunity to establish his or her own strategic planning agenda. Further, the conversations with the community to develop new objectives will provide valuable information for our next quality enhancement plan, which is required by SACS COC. Completion of the strategic planning process also supports the SACS COC requirement that the university has a strategic plan that informs its budgetary and assessment systems. This concludes our report.
Thank you, Ms. Brown Stewart. Last report is the Evaluation and Compensation Committee. Captain Jenkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, the committee reported on the receipt of the strategic 2021 goals for the University of South Alabama for committee review. The committee acknowledges receipt of a very complete and frankly eye-watering package of significant accomplishments and results for our university in 2020. All the trustees should have a copy of the entire package sent out by Suzanne Goins last night. This outstanding detailed package of accomplishments and solid positive results is a product of very close collaboration between the president of the university, the president's council, our magnificent faculty and staff. The committee wishes to thank all concerned who put this package together. It really does reflect positively on the university and takes credit for the things that have been done that many, many folks are probably not aware of. That, Mr. Chairman, concludes our report.
Thank you, Captain Jenkins. And the last item on the agenda before we adjourn today is the approval of the amendments to the presidential search guidelines on the appointment of presidential search committee. Before I ask for a vote, I just want to make one more comment, and it's in the guidelines, but we as a board have a tremendous responsibility upcoming. The presidential search committee is the first step in that regard. The presidential search committee will help do the work to narrow down the field and present us with some candidates to vet. I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the 15 of us sitting in this room that will decide who our next leader will be. Along that journey, while the presidential search committee is responsible for getting us that list, I think it's very important that every board member understands and knows that those meetings are open to every board member as well. Just because you don't have a vote on the presidential search committee doesn't mean that you shouldn't use that avenue to participate and to be informed about what your choices are. Because I tell you, I wasn't on the presidential search committee when Tony was hired, but I participated in a large number of the meetings, and I felt like when it was time for me to make a decision, I was informed and I was prepared to make that decision. So I encourage you to listen in and participate and stay involved as much as you can as this process goes forward, because at the end of the day, we're going to have to sit down, and it's going to be best if you know who's involved in the process. Okay, so just wanted to make sure we kind of understood our full scope of this charge. So everybody's got a part in this, but at the end of the day, it's those of us sitting in this room that are going to pick our next leader. And that's a very, very powerful decision that we have to make. So with that said, I would move for approval of the motion. I'd make a motion for approval. There's a second. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anything else for the good of the order? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? We're adjourned. Monica, we come back at 12:45 for the. Okay. Okay. Lunch outside.
So Jimmy, 11:45 your time?
No.